The Patriot League Anaconda Player of the Week in men's basketball was C.J. McCollum of Lehigh. After tying a Patriot League record with 9 Rookie of the Week awards last season, McCollum wins his first Patriot League Player of the Week honor following one of the finest individual stretches in recent memory. He averaged 29.7 points and 9 rebounds in Lehigh's 3 games last week, highlighted by the top individual scoring performance by a Patriot League player in more than 5 years, when he scored 42 in an 80-75 loss at Kent State on Friday. McCollum was nearly as impressive in Lehigh's other 2 contests and led the Mountain Hawks to home victories over Cornell and Bryant. He had his 5th career double-double with 20 points and 13 rebounds in a 60-57 win over defending Ivy League champion Cornell, and had 27 points with 7 rebounds in an 88-68 win over Bryant on Sunday. The Patriot League Anaconda Rookie of the Week in men's basketball was J.J. Avila of Navy. Avila earns his 2nd consecutive Rookie of the Week award after an outstanding performance in Navy's 89-84 win at Towson on Wednesday. He had 31 points, 6 rebounds, 5 steals, and 2 assists in the victory, tying for the 2nd highest scoring total by a Navy freshman, while equaling the top mark for a freshman player since the 1975-76 season. It was also the 2nd highest in school history for a player coming off the bench. He also scored 12 points in Navy's 89-81 overtime loss to Maryland Eastern Shore Saturday. The Patriot League Anaconda Player of the Week in women's basketball was Jasmine Lynch of Colgate. The league's 2009-10 Rookie of the Year captured her first weekly award of the 2010-11 campaign after hitting on 50% of her shots and shooting 87.5%, 21 of 24, from the free throw line. Lynch's big game of the week came Tuesday against Wagner when she tallied a game-high 29 points to spark Colgate's 85-72 overtime win over the Seahawks. This is Lynch's 4th weekly award of her career. The Patriot League Anaconda Rookie of the Week in women's basketball was Alex Smith of Holy Cross. The freshman guard played consistent basketball for the Crusaders in their 2-0 week in victories over New Hampshire and Harvard. She scored 16 points and tallied 5 steals against the Wildcats, then added 14 points and 3 rebounds in the team's 72-53 victory over the Crimson. Despite the top individual scoring performance by a Patriot League player in more than 5 years, Lehigh could not outlast Kent State in the second half of an 80-75 loss on the road Friday. Playing less than an hour from his hometown of Canton, Ohio, Lehigh sophomore C.J. McCollum scored a career-high 42 points. The reigning Patriot League Player of the Year made 15 of 25 field goals, including 3 of 7 from three-point range and 9 of 11 free throws. On Saturday, Lafayette fell to Delaware 67-64 as Jared Mintz led the Leopards with 22 points and a career-high 6 assists. He tied the score at 59 on a pair of free throws with 1:30 to go, but Delaware made 8 foul shots in the final minute to earn the victory. Jim Maurer scored 11 points for Lafayette, while Tony Johnson had 9 points and a career-high 10 rebounds. Navy rallied from a first-half deficit to build a 48-40 lead with 13:44 to play, but Maryland Eastern Shore quickly came back to win 89-81 in overtime. Maryland Eastern Shore opened the extra session with a 10-2 run and held at least a 4-point lead the rest of the way. Greg Brown scored a career-high 28 points for Navy, while O.J. Awaro had 13 and J.J. Avila and Isaiah Roberts each scored 12. Holy Cross trailed by 6 points at halftime and 24 with 8 minutes to go before staging a furious 26-6 rally to get back into the game. However, the Crusaders would get no closer than the 4-point deficit as Massachusetts hit 5 of 6 free throws in the final 30 seconds to win 83-76. 4 Crusaders scored in double figures as Devin Brown scored 18, Andrew Keister 16, Mike Cavateo 13, and R.J. Evans 11. Keister also totaled 11 rebounds. Army set a school record with 14 three-pointers, but it wasn't enough as Yale used a late 14-2 run to win 87-79. Army held a 72-69 lead with 6:19 left before the Bulldogs put together the decisive stretch. Julian Simmons scored a game-high 28 points, while Jason Pankow had a career-high 16, with each player hitting 4 three-pointers. Jeremy Hentz scored 14 points, while Ella Ellis had 12. Colgate freshman guard Pat Moore scored a career-high 14 points, and sophomore center John Brandenburg had a career-high 10 in an 80-63 loss to Dartmouth. Mitch Rolls also scored 14, while Mike Venezia had 10. Colgate trailed for almost the entire contest and was down by 8 points or more for the last 10 minutes. Lehigh sophomore C.J. McCollum put up yet another outstanding effort to lead the Mountain Hawks to an 88-68 win over Bryant. The Mountain Hawks trailed by 5 points late in the first half before putting together a 12-0 run to take a 42-35 edge at the break. Lehigh ran off another 14-2 run early in the second half to build a 15-point lead and led by as many as 24 points before settling on the 88-68 final. McCollum finished with 27 points and 7 rebounds. Fellow sophomore Gabe Knutson was just as good, scoring 22 points on 10 of 12 shooting and also pulling down 8 rebounds. Playing without top scorer Vlad Moldovianu, American was handed its first defeat in heartbreaking fashion as Columbia hit a pair of free throws with 1.7 seconds left to beat the Eagles 64-62 in Washington. The Eagles appeared to have the game in hand in the second half after a 7-0 run gave them a 46-32 lead with 10:21 to go, but Columbia fought back and took a 62-60 lead on a three-pointer with 42 seconds to go. Daniel Munoz tied the score on a pair of free throws with 32 seconds left before the Lions hit the game-winning foul shots. Troy Brewer's three-point attempt at the buzzer was off the mark. Stephen Lumpkins had a double-double with 20 points and 12 rebounds, while Brewer added 18 and Simon McCormick scored 13. Navy was the only Patriot League team to post a victory during Friday's action with a 22-point victory at host Maine in the Dead River Company Classic in Orono. Navy used a 22-7 run at the start of the second half to pull away from the Black Bears at Alfond Arena. Jade Geif tallied a double-double of 13 points and 11 boards, while Cassie Considine led all scorers with 16 points, and Shea Arvin added 12. Navy outscored Maine 33-6 from behind the three-point line, going 11 of 27. The Mids led by as many as 27 points in the second half. Liz Lear recorded her league-best third double-double of the season with 12 points and 10 rebounds, but it was not enough as American fell 73-59 to Sam Houston State at the World Vision Classic in Lubbock, Texas. Up 14-13 in the first half, the Eagles rattled off a 10-1 run to take a 24-14 lead, but the Bearcats replied with a 13-0 run of their own to take a 33-28 lead at halftime. American cut the deficit to 35-33 early in the second half, but Sam Houston State maintained the lead the rest of the game. Lafayette dropped below 500 with a 68-54 loss at Monmouth. Sarah McGorry led the Leopards with 13 points off the bench on 5 of 9 shooting, while Lauren Jackson and Madeline Fayen each pitched in 8. Monmouth's main advantage came on three-point shots as the Hawks went 9 of 21, while Lafayette went 0 for 3. Lehigh dropped its third straight 74-63 to Louisiana State in the World Vision Basketball Challenge in Storrs, Connecticut. The Mountain Hawks had 3 players with double-digit points, with Courtney Dentler's game-high 20 matching her career high, along with Emily Gratch's 12 and 11 from Erica Prosser. The Tigers bench outscored Lehigh's 36-12 to help produce the 11-point victory. Lehigh opened the game with a 6-1 run and led 9-6 at the first media timeout, but LSU rallied for a 39-28 halftime lead and never looked back. Taylor Waynert scored a team-high 17 points and Lauren Kobiala added 10, but Boston University had 4 players score in double digits to lead the Terriers to a 78-56 win in the LIU Turkey Classic in Brooklyn, New York. The Raiders held a 46-35 advantage on the glass, led by Krista Moser's game-high 10 rebounds, but the Terriers went 10 of 32 on three-point attempts. BU started the game on a 13-4 run and never trailed after that. Army took nearly twice as many shots as the St. Francis Terriers and grabbed 18 offensive rebounds in a 57-34 win Saturday. Army also excelled in transition, outscoring St. Francis 30-4 in points off turnovers. Senior Aaron Anthony led all scorers with 12 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 blocks, while Laura Baranek pitched in 8 points in the rout. Army limited the Terriers to just 3 field goals in the first half and 11 for the game. Florida ended the game on a 13-2 run to take a 52-43 victory over Navy in the championship game of the Dead River Company Classic in Orono, Maine. It was a close contest the entire way with 7 ties and 14 lead changes before the Gators' decisive run. Navy's Audrey Bauer led all scorers with a game-high 13 points, and Angela Myers chipped in 10 points, 3 assists, and a steal. Jasmine Lynch led 4 Colgate players in double figures with a game-high 17 points, but it wasn't enough as the Raiders lost a 63-62 heartbreaker to McNeese State in the consolation game of the LIU Turkey Classic in Brooklyn, New York. Sammy Kozlowski added 13 points, while Taylor Waynert pitched in 12, and Trisha Oakes had 11. Kendra Well hit a layup in the game's closing seconds, and that proved to be the game winner. Top-ranked Connecticut hit on 53.3% of its shots in an 81-38 victory over Lehigh at Gamble Pavilion in the World Vision Basketball Challenge Saturday. Allie Bjork scored a team-high 8 points, while Emily Gratch had 6 rebounds. The Huskies, ranked number 1 in both the Associated Press and ESPN USA Today Top 25 polls, extended their NCAA women's basketball record to 83 straight victories. Alexis Dobbs tallied a team-best 10 points in American's 63-37 loss to host Texas Tech in the World Vision Challenge in Lubbock, Texas. The Eagles trailed 36-11 at halftime, but played the Red Raiders nearly even over the game's second 20 minutes. American shot only 4 of 17 in the first half and 35.7% for the game. Lisa Strack scored a game-high 20 points, and Liz Lear narrowly missed a double-double with 15 points and 9 rebounds as American snapped a 3-game losing streak with a 60-49 win over Charleston Southern to close out the World Vision Basketball Challenge in Lubbock, Texas. The Eagles outscored Charleston Southern 28-12 in the paint, and Strack helped ignite a 15-0 run in the first half with 2 3-pointers before hitting a third to put American up 25-9 with 8:01 left before halftime. 3 Crusaders reached double figures in points, with Meredith Ward tallying a career-high 17 along with 6 assists to lead Holy Cross back to 500 with a 72-53 win at the Hart Center over Harvard. Whitney Fremo tallied 15 points on 50% shooting from the field, and the Crusaders out-rebounded the Crimson 44-34 for the game. With the game tied 13-13 late in the first half, Lehigh outscored Howard 43-16 the rest of the way for a 56-29 victory over the Bison in the Mountain Hawks' third game at the World Vision Basketball Challenge in Storrs, Connecticut. Courtney Dentler led all scorers with 17 points, but it was the Lehigh defense that was responsible for surrendering the fewest points in a game since a 55-28 defeat of Franklin and Marshall during the 1980-81 season. Bucknell upped its record to 2-3 with a 69-62 victory over winless Niagara at Soika Pavilion. Freshman Shelby Romine had another stellar effort for the Bison with a game-high 19 points, while Alyssa Dunn and Cosima Hayam each added 16 and 11 points, respectively, off the bench. Lafayette was the lone league team to lose Sunday, dropping a 52-39 final to Fairfield at Kirby Sports Center in Easton. It marked the first time current Leopard coach Diane Nolan faced off against the program she led for 28 seasons, from 1979 to 2007. Senior Lakeisha Wright led the way with a team-best 10 points.